Hey, it's Alex T. It's our second season at the Cannabis Goldsmith. Can you believe it? This is episode 101. Now, I didn't know whether to change the season to 2 or whatever. I'm just going to keep going. So consider this the second season, episode 101. Now, if you're wondering what this show is about, I'm a jewelry designer and photographer, and I'm located in Upper Canada on the St. Lawrence River, right next to upstate New York. And I design products from cannabis plant. I take leaves, seeds, stems, roots of the cannabis plant, which we grow here. We grow 4 plants as we're allowed to do in Canada as an adult. And from these plants, I make jewelry pieces, amazing jewelry pieces, and which we cast in precious metal in the workshop in Toronto. But here I work in plastic and with the plants themselves to make the master designs of our jewelry pieces. Now, our pieces are not something you would find at a jewelry store. No, each of our pieces is made custom for our clients. So clients see something we've made before, they contact us, and we make something special for them. Last year, I've worked on belt buckles. We're working on some belt buckle designs in sterling silver made from cannabis leaves. So those are going to be available for sale this year. I've made a few, but they're limited edition pieces. This is a show about jewelry, why we wear it, why it matters, how it's made, and what it means. I'm Alex D, and I turn cannabis into gold. I make mind-blowing jewelry in gold, silver, and platinum from cannabis plants here in Canada for stage, screen, for people who want to rock crazy jewelry. I'm the Cannabis Goldsmith. If you're an artist or a designer or a jewelry maker, you're a creative person and you're in a studio somewhere in the world, you should subscribe to this podcast because that's what I am. I'm an artist and I'm located in a studio on the planet. And us artists must stick together during these tumultuous times. I know the podcast has got a lot of listeners over the last year. Apparently, we're number 42 on the planet in jewelry podcasting. I don't know how accurate the stats are, but this year I've decided to put us into the top 10 of art jewelry design podcasts on the planet. And I'm aiming for number 1, but I'd be happy to go in the top 10. Remember, this is about art and design. This is not about hustling or any of that kind of shit. This is about art, design, and surfacing ideas and making them real into real things, objects. Not just talking about shit and not doing anything. So that's where we are as a show, and that's how I am as an artist going into this year. Now, there's all kinds of stuff going on politically. Now, I struggled last year to talk about, to decide how much politics I should include in this show. But I think we're all stewing in the politics, so it's gonna come through in the show. I was thinking of actually starting another show just to deal with the politics, so that I could take it out of this. But we can't. Canada is in a weird place, which I'm going to describe in a few minutes, and so politics is important to how artists survive and sell products and do business and connect with each other and all this stuff. So the political, I'm going to limit the political in this next season of the Cannabis Goldsmith. But when I do talk about it, it's because it's important. So that's what I got to say. The other thing is, being an artist can be lonely sometimes. I know I feel it. I'm out here in the country, and it's just me and nature, basically. I focus on the design. I focus on the shows. I focus on what I'm about to do in the photography. And I'm not a hermit because I do go out and I have brunch and I talk to people and stuff, but I guess I am a hermit to a degree, and I'm focused on the work. But politics can even creep into that too. Even if you're a hermit, you can be the winds of politics will buffet you. And in the last few weeks, we've had just a hellstorm of shit coming at us from our government here in Canada. It's affecting the whole country. And then at the same time, simultaneously, we have a hellstorm of shit coming at us from south of the border. So now, business people I know are all terrified about a tariff, 25% tariffs on stuff. As artists who export, I'm worried about it. I'm worried about it too, but I've already decided what I'm going to do. Because if the American market is closed to us, which it will be, I think, I'm going to sell products in Europe and in Japan and in Australia, That's where I'm going to sell products. I'm not going to even focus on the United States if they slap 25% tariffs on our products. Now, granted, unless somebody contacts us, like, okay, somebody will, because of the nature of our products, somebody might email me and say, look, can you make me a belt buckle and ship it to the States? And I will tell them, yes. However, your government is going to charge you 25% extra as a tax on top of that. So not us. Trump is doing it to you. So that is what's going to happen. Millions of people selling into the United States are going to be advising their U.S. customers that no, we're not paying the 25%. You're paying it, and it's a tax. It's the Trump tax on your economy. So I guess it'll take a while for the Americans to realize this, but when they do, and when millions and millions of exporters are reminding them what it's about, I think the Trump situation is going to get quite unstable down there. But anyway, we're just fucked here. We're fucked. We've got a Justin Trudeau. Now, you might have heard he resigned, or apparently resigned this week, but he didn't resign. He's resigning over a period of 2 or 3 months, slowly, so he can pick a new leader to run the Liberal Party. This is what it is. He's going to preside over some kind of contest for his replacement. Now, the meantime, the country's shut down. He prorogued Parliament. What that means is they just shut everything down, and nothing can be done until they resume. So they're supposed to resume on March 24th. Trump comes into office on January 20th, and immediately has promised 25% tariffs on everything that Canada exports into the United States. He also says that Canada isn't needed. They don't need any of our products. Okay, let's see, shall we? Let's see. Americans are getting a lot of oil from us. And let's see what 25% on their gas, 25% extra on their gas bills look like at the pump. That's really going to have an impact on the orange motherfucker. You can't do anything about this incoming U.S. president. He's just insane. He's batshit crazy. Everyone in the world understands that, except maybe 50% of the American population. 51 or whoever voted for him. But people are going to realize soon what it all means, I think. And here we are in Canada without any kind of leadership. Until March 24th, when the opposition parties can unite, if they do, we don't even know here in Canada, to overthrow Justin Trudeau and get the Liberal government away from the controls of the country. Because they've driven the country into the ground, basically, on Justin Trudeau's ideas, which have no validity at all. It's sad. It's really sad. I liken this Trump thing to, I went on safari. I've been on safari a bunch of times, actually. I lived in South Africa for a while. But safaris are generally a tourist thing. Somebody goes to South Africa, they go on safari, they don't experience any of the country. They just go on this like track, this tourist track, and you see them. You see them at the safari places, the little jeeps, with all the tourists sitting on top, and they all park together in the same spot and look at the water hole and wait. And on occasion you might see something, but it just sucks, as a way to see animals in their natural habitat. Now in safari, you don't want to go on safari in the summertime, like in South Africa, for example. You don't go in December because there's too much greenery. You don't see anything. There could be fucking entire herds of giraffes right in front of you, and you would not even see them because they blend. They blend into the background. But anyway, that's not what I'm not talking about giraffes. I'm talking about elephants. So anyway, I didn't want to go on any kind of tourist junket when I went, because frankly, I was living in the country, and I'm like, no, you have to go like a local, right? So I drove my Opel Corsa. It's this little like hatchback. It's a 2-door hatchback. It weighs, I don't know, maybe 1,000 pounds, front wheel drive, just like a go-kart, basically, in a round shell. And I drove the egg, I called it, a small white Opel Corsa. And I drove it from my house on the coast in KwaZulu-Natal. I drove it all the way up the coast to Shihlui Umfolozi Park. And the reason I wanted to go to Umfolozi, which is attached to Shihlui Park in KwaZulu-Natal, is that they had, at the time, the most rhinos. So I wanted to see a lot of rhinos and in their natural habitat. And I went actually in, and there was like a dry season going on. So there was no vegetation really. There were some trees, and but it was pretty dry. But it wasn't a drought thing. So there was some greenery there. But it wasn't rainy season wet where everything was green and there could be animals like in front of you and you'd never know. Before I even got into the park, you don't see fences once you get in here. It's just like it's just a big wilderness area, right? But there are fences around the outside of it to keep all the lions and shit from eating the population. So anyway, it's filled with game. And this Umfolozi used to be the private hunting domain of the Zulu king, or the king of Lesotho or something. I'm not really quite, I think it might have been a Zulu king. It was a private hunting ground, so it was just packed with like all kinds of big game and stuff. Anyway, they donated it to the Parks Board, and so it became part of the larger park, the Umfolozi Shihlui Park. So anyway, it became kind of a unified thing. But the Umfolozi section of the park is huge, and it's not as well maintained, right? Like fewer paved roads, less infrastructure. When you're there, you're out in the bush, basically. So anyway, as I went into the park, the guy at the warden at the gate said, "Look, the elephants are musking. So don't rile them up because they can get pissed. So if the one is musking or whatever, you just stay still and don't move, and they'll move on, right? And not bother you." This is what the guy told me. So I'm driving around the park in this tiny little car, it's a tiny little white car, and I see an elephant at the side of the road up ahead, right? Huge motherfucking elephant. These things are huge, right? With big tusks. And the musking is apparently, I don't understand it completely, but their eyes start like secreting this like fluid, and they're horny as fuck, right? And they want to display their dominance. They're just not happy campers. And they want to like attack shit, right? This is like the hormones, the big elephant hormones are raging wild in these motherfuckers. And anyway, so here I am in my little Opel Corsa on this dirt road. There's nobody around. There's no other cars. There's nothing, right? I don't even have cell service in this area. And I'm like in the car and I stop and I see this elephant just maybe 10 meters away from me on the side of the road next to this tree, this big tree, right? Like sort of in the shade of the tree. And I'm like, finally I get to see some wildlife, an elephant. So I stop the car and I turn it off and I watch this elephant. And it fucking takes the trunk of the tree and it wraps its trunk around the tree and it pulls it out and eats the fucking thing like a piece of broccoli, a whole tree, right? And then it looks at my car and starts coming towards my car. And I'm thinking, did the warden at the gate say I should not move or I should move? I'm trying to remember now as this fucking elephant is this huge fucking thing. It's like 5 times the size of the car and it's coming at me. There's nobody around. Like, if this thing trampled the car, I would be fucked. I don't even have cell service, right? So this thing is coming towards the car and I'm thinking, should I stay here? Should I put it in reverse and just fucking get out of here? What should I drive forward? And then the thing got onto the road and blocked my forward direction. So it was coming towards me. Like I was parked in the middle of this dirt road and the elephant was on the road coming towards me faster and faster. And I was like, okay, it's going to fucking flip my car over. So I put the egg in reverse and I floored it backwards. Up this fucking dirt road going backwards. And the elephant was chasing me down the road, right? I was like, holy fuck. I'm fucked, right? I'm going to die out on this. They'll discover me. Some tourist from the Netherlands will come by in their Jeep and see this flipped over Opel Corsa with like me hanging out of it, like all trampled by the elephant, right? I'm like, all this is going through my head. I'm thinking, oh, I'm fucked. And I'm driving the car backwards in reverse. I'm a hopeless, I can't even back into into a parallel parking spot. And I'm trying to go up this winding road backwards, like going backwards up this fucking hill in Umfolozi Park, and the elephant is fucking chasing me down the road. I'm fucked. I know it. And then all of a sudden he stops and gives up. He's like, fuck. And he walks into the bush. I stop the car and I'm like, my heart was pounding. I was like, oh God, where is he? Like I'm looking. I'm like, where is he? Going to come behind me? It was like I was panicking, right? What the fuck? What is he going to do? And that was the last I saw of him, and I proceeded on my way. But this is what we have with Donald Trump in fucking the United States. We have a musking elephant who doesn't have a fucking, he's completely insane and irrational. He's got shit coming out of his eyes. He's got a tree. He's going to eat trees like fucking broccoli. This is a guy we have to be prepared for this, and we need a government to do it here in Canada. Trudeau needs to really resign, not partially resign. He needs to call an election immediately so that we can get a new government to deal with what's coming at us. We have here in Canada, it's gonna fuck everything up. Like as I say, I'm already looking to do business in Europe. I'm going to focus all my advertising at Europe. I'm going to focus all my advertising at Europe this year. I'm not gonna promote anything into the United States. I'm not gonna pay for promotion into the United States for anything. If these 25% tariffs come in, I'm not gonna spend the money on it. I'm just gonna expand my markets in other areas. And I think as Canadian businesses and artists, we have to do this. Our government has left us. We're on our own. The elephant is musking and coming at us full speed down the dirt road. We put it in reverse. We get the fuck out of there, and we come at it again from another angle. And that's what we need to do. Okay, now something else happened yesterday. This show wasn't about news, but it seems to be about news today. Yesterday, Mark Zuckerberg decided that in the United States, he's going to take his thumb off the scale. He said that, remember before he said they weren't influencing what was being shown, but now it turns out that they were influencing. He was influencing what was being shown on Facebook, and now they're going to stop doing that. Like, who knows? Like, who believes him anyway, right? He's changed his appearance. He looks more like the Balkan Breakfast guy. You know, that guy who's in the black T-shirt who sits down and starts eating whole onions and apples. This is what Mark Zuckerberg's new fashion sense is. So we really have no idea how his new policy is going to impact anything. Anyway, the new direction is only applicable to the United States. I remind our listeners that in Canada, the Trudeau government passed a law that taxes news links on Facebook. So there won't be any thumb off the scale here in Canada. In fact, Facebook pulled all their links to anything that can be considered news articles off Canadian Facebook. So Canadians can't see news on Facebook because of Meta, because of Mark Zuckerberg, and because of the Trudeau government and their laws. Now, Google, in their wisdom, they negotiated a deal with the Trudeau government to pay into $100 million a year into a fund that would be split up by all the mainstream media. So they got their payment last week, their $100 million from Google, and their internet money and their press money. And now these are companies that are all going out of business anyway, like the National Post and the Globe and Mail, the Toronto Star, all these old legacy dinosaur things. The only reason they're existing is from government funding and now the Google money. So it's like, okay, they're going to divide up the Google money amongst themselves and they'll be fine for another few months. But that's it. There's no future. There's no future for them. The other thing here is which is interesting, is that because Google is baked, this agreement is baked into Canadian law. So like Facebook is not allowed in without taxes, without their links being taxed. But Google is allowed if they drop $100 million into this fund every year. I wonder how long that's going to last with the new government. I think the next government has said, and I hope they do this, that they're going to rescind all these internet laws that are just causing fucking problems for us as trying to compete and sell products around the world, because we can't when our hands are tied. Anyway, so Mark Zuckerberg, it'll be interesting to see how the content changes on the Meta platforms after this new Zuckerberg initiative. I'll call it the Balkan Breakfast Initiative. That's what I'm going to call it. Zuckerberg's Balkan Breakfast Initiative. Oh, God. So what's going on in the studio? We haven't even got to the art stuff yet in this show. Holy shit. It's really cold. It's so cold. It's like minus 20. I'm burning wood. I'm burning wood like crazy in the wood stove to heat the farmhouse here. I'm just shoveling wood into this fucking wood stove, and I hope it lasts until the weather warms up. I think it will. My wood supplier, Richard, is amazing. His wood is of the finest quality, and it's hardwood, but I'm burning it quick. It's cold out there. Minus 20. Yikes. So what am I doing? I built the as I said last week. Last year was a big year for me because I raised all this money, built a digitization suite. I'm already starting to work on the digitization of the Tribe magazine legacy photography from the 1990s. This is a huge photography project. I'm digitizing film and slides and negatives. It's an important cultural project too. And so anyway, I started, but I was going to record the podcast from that studio space, which is right next door to this one. But the computer is too loud. I built this computer that could deal with the massive files that I'm going to be video files and image files, and I put this incredible graphics card in it, and it's like fans all over it. I don't use water cooling, so I got this huge fucking Noctua fan with like two CPU cooler with like fans in it. And like, it is so loud in there with fans, I can't record a podcast in there. But I don't mind the fan noise to do editing of images and video and stuff. That's okay. But I think I'm going to have to record the audio out here still, out right next to the road, so you might hear some road noise in the background. But that's okay. Anyway, thank you for listening to the first 100 episodes. We're going forward with the next 100 episodes. It's going to be a crazy year, I think. Globally, I think there may be some, I think we're in a state of actually world war right now, but it's on a low boil, and I think it might get a little bit more severe. But I'm going to be here talking as an artist, from an artist's point of view, not from a politician's point of view, or not from a businessman's point of view, really, but just as an artist's point of view, as I try and make products and do creative work in this nutty world of ours. So if you're an artist, or if you're a creative person, even if you work with computers, like doing graphic design, and you're sick of it all, follow this podcast and listen to me, and we can commiserate together on the nature of the world and how it's impacting our product designs and our products. And between us all, we can probably figure out how to grow our businesses and how to grow our practices and how to make better art in this crazy world. So that's the nature of this podcast going forward into the future. I thought I would change the logo and all that stuff. I'm not. I'm just going to leave it the same. This is not the Pivot podcast or it's not a business podcast. It's an art podcast. So I hope you'll join me as we try to survive as the elephant comes down the road towards us. Slam it in reverse. Let's get the fuck out of here and let's make art. Anyway, that's it for me this week. Next week, who the hell knows what I'll be talking about, but no doubt there'll be some major trauma happening. Hopefully we'll have an election by next week, but I don't think so. Who knows what'll happen? We got less than 2 weeks now until Trump takes over, so everyone is nervous. The whole country is nervous, and the whole country awaits a new government here in Canada so we can move forward. Anyway, before I go, what can you do? If you're a Canadian, you're living here in Canada, what can you do to help break the log jam? The first thing you can do is contact your local member of parliament. You can search online. If you don't even know who that is, you can go online, find out who's your member of parliament, and then you can email them and tell them we need an election now in order to survive the next coming months. I mean, this is what we can do as Canadians. This is all we can do now until we actually go in and vote. So in the meantime, contact your member of parliament and tell them you want an election now. If that's what you want, of course. You might not want that, but if you do, as I think you need to, is like just say, look. Anyway, each time you do this, well, it's recorded, so it's tracked. So it's like at least they'll have some evidence that you're upset and at the Trudeau person for putting us in this predicament. And it goes on the record as someone who's called in to complain about it. I know it doesn't seem like much, but this is where we are. Anyway, let's leave the podcast on a more positive note. What's going on? I got seeds. I ordered seeds, different vegetable seeds, and some cannabis seeds. I've got the new crop picked out for this year. I'm so excited. The 4 plants this year are going to be completely different. I've been trying to grow land races over the last few years. It's hard in Canada to grow tropical plants. Like I've done it, but it's Anyway, these new strains are more appropriate for the weather here. But it all depends on the leaves too. Like I use the leaves to make jewelry pieces. So maybe the leaves will hopefully be better this year than they were last. Anyway, so we've got some new strains this year to make jewelry from, and I'm looking at the new trendy one is permanent marker. And I'm going to try making some jewelry out of that. There's a nice banana from Canuck that will be going outdoors, and in the summer, hopefully it'll be a giant, huge plant, and some leaves will come from that. And then there's some indoor plant types that I'm going to grow, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Some jacks. The leaves are nice for rings from the jacks. Hopefully we'll get some good ring jewelry leaves this year to make ring designs. Also, I've got enough seed to make a bong, the outside of a pipe. So I'm sort of working on that, trying to figure out how to make a pipe out of sterling silver cannabis seeds. I'm going to try and figure out how to do that this year. So there's stuff coming down the pipe. Anyway, that's it for me. See you next week on the Cannabis Goldsmith. Tell your friends about this podcast, or tell artists about it, and get them to just subscribe or follow, because we're going to be the top 10 art podcast this year, aren't we? The Cannabis Goldsmith is produced by Tribe Communications, Inc. in the Thousand Islands area of Ontario, Canada. You can see what we do at tribe.ca. Send us an email, alexd@cannabisgoldsmith.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week on the Cannabis Goldsmith.